The world stands on the edge of an abyss, a tension built over decades now ready to explode into chaos. The uneasy balance between the United States and China has been cracking for years through trade wars, cyber clashes, and escalating military drills in the Pacific. As the first rays of dawn strike across the South China Sea, what begins as a single incident, perhaps a collision between naval patrols or a missile misfire, becomes the spark that ignites the largest and most dangerous conflict in modern history. Within minutes, both nations mobilize, and the first 24 hours of World War III begin to unfold in terrifying precision. On the exterior, the planet trembles under the weight of uncertainty. Satellite networks flare to life as early warning systems detect the rapid launch of hypersonic missiles. The Pacific skies roar with the sound of jet engines as American F-35s and Chinese J-20 stealth fighters streak into combat formation. Fleets positioned near Taiwan, the East China Sea, and the Philippine waters brace for immediate confrontation. Command centers in Washington and Beijing are flooded with data, maps, and intelligence feeds. The President of the United States is rushed into the Situation Room, while China's leadership gathers in a secure underground bunker in Beijing's western hills. Across the world, news stations interrupt their broadcasts, announcing that the two most powerful nations on Earth have gone to war. Within the first hour, cyber warfare erupts in full force. The United States launches a coordinated digital strike on China's satellite communications and power grids. In retaliation, Chinese cyber units cripple major American infrastructure networks. Airports shut down, stock exchanges freeze, and millions lose connection to the digital world. In the Pacific, GPS systems begin to fail, forcing pilots to rely on outdated navigation methods. The Pentagon's secure systems flicker under massive cyber pressure. China's coastal radars scramble to track the dozens of incoming signals, some real, some illusions generated by American electronic warfare. The fog of confusion sets in before the first missiles even strike. As the minutes tick forward, the air turns electric with dread. American aircraft carriers in the Philippine Sea launch dozens of sorties, while Chinese anti-ship missile batteries lock on to their positions. The first wave of DF-21D, carrier killer, missiles scream through the atmosphere, targeting the USS Ronald Reagan Strike Group. Aegis defense systems aboard the U.S. destroyers respond instantly, intercepting some missiles mid-flight but not all. One strike hits dangerously close, damaging a support vessel and killing dozens of sailors. The shockwave ripples through the fleet as alarms sound across the Pacific. In retaliation, the U.S. Air Force unleashes its stealth bombers, B-2 Spirits and B-21 Raiders, armed with precision bunker-busting munitions aimed at Chinese military bases along the coast. Dozens of airfields from Fujian to Guangdong erupt into flames as hangars collapse and fuel depots explode. China's response is swift and brutal. Swarms of drones, guided by AI algorithms, fill the sky, overwhelming radar defenses and striking at American warships and supply aircraft. The Pacific turns into a graveyard of metal, smoke, and fire. Deep within command centers, analysts and generals make rapid calculations. Inside the Pentagon, satellite feeds reveal massive movements of Chinese armored divisions near the Taiwan Strait. In Beijing, the Central Military Commission orders a full-scale amphibious readiness alert. Hundreds of landing ships and aircraft begin to mobilize, their objectives clear: take Taiwan before American reinforcements arrive. Taiwan's defense systems activate, launching surface-to-air missiles and scrambling fighter jets. The island becomes the central battlefield of a global power struggle. The performance of each nation's war machine begins to show its strengths and vulnerabilities. American bombers demonstrate unmatched global range, striking deep targets across the Pacific Rim. The U.S. Navy coordinates seamlessly between carriers, submarines, and reconnaissance aircraft, displaying decades of strategic experience. Yet China's technology shocks the world. Their hypersonic glide vehicles move too fast for interception, cutting through American defenses like lightning. Their drone networks, powered by real-time artificial intelligence, adapt mid-battle, making them unpredictable and deadly. In the digital realm, the war is invisible but equally destructive. Banking systems, satellites, and entire internet grids crash in seconds as both nations unleash their cyber arsenals. Cities far from the battlefield begin to feel the effects. Power outages spread across Asia, air travel halts worldwide, and global markets collapse. In New York, the stock exchange plunges thousands of points within an hour. Oil prices skyrocket, and panic buying erupts from London to Los Angeles. The world realizes this isn't just a regional conflict, it's a global event that reshapes every economy, government, and society. Nations like Japan, South Korea, and Australia activate defense treaties and heighten alert levels. Russia and India watch closely, preparing contingencies as they measure their next moves. The United Nations calls for an emergency meeting, but communication between major powers is already deteriorating. As daylight fades, the human cost becomes unbearable. Tens of thousands of soldiers and civilians are dead or injured. The South China Sea is littered with debris and oil slicks. Fishermen and merchant ships caught in the chaos vanish beneath the waves. In the skies above Taiwan, jet after jet falls, leaving fiery trails across the horizon. Hospitals overflow, and entire cities lose power. The once vibrant ports of Hong Kong and Shanghai now sit in darkness as evacuation orders spread. In Guam and Okinawa, American families seek shelter while warning sirens blare through the night. Safety systems that were designed to prevent nuclear war are tested like never before. Both nations have automatic fail-safe mechanisms to prevent unauthorized launches, but the fog of war makes errors inevitable. Early warning satellites misinterpret missile tests, and false alarms nearly trigger irreversible responses. A single miscommunication could ignite the planet. Intelligence agencies across the globe scramble to verify each launch alert. Presidents and generals sleep none, knowing that one mistake could mean the end of civilization. The world holds its breath. Meanwhile, the information war escalates. Propaganda floods social media, spreading panic and confusion. Fake videos and manipulated footage circulate online, showing alleged nuclear strikes and invasions that never happened. Civilians no longer know what to believe. Governments impose internet restrictions to maintain control, but the flow of misinformation is unstoppable. Across the world, protests erupt demanding peace, yet their voices are drowned out by the roar of conflict. Inside both nations, the leaders face unbearable pressure. In Washington, advisors urge decisive action to demonstrate dominance. In Beijing, generals push for rapid victory to secure national pride. Yet both sides know that escalation could doom the planet. Diplomats attempt back-channel communication through Switzerland, Singapore, and the UN, but trust has eroded too far. As the war grinds into the 12th hour, the technological arms race reaches new heights. Quantum computers analyze enemy movements faster than any human could, directing fleets and aircraft in real time. Space becomes the next frontier, as satellites are targeted by high-energy lasers and kinetic interceptors. The destruction of just a few major satellites cripples communication across continents. The world's navigation systems go offline, and civilian airlines become blind in the skies. By the 18th hour, desperation begins to seep through both sides. Supplies run low, morale falters, and global outrage grows. Humanitarian crises erupt in Taiwan, Japan, and along the Chinese coast. Entire regions face blackout and starvation as logistics collapse. Aid organizations attempt to coordinate relief but are blocked by combat zones and communication breakdowns. The Red Cross issues its most severe emergency warning since World War II. Amid the chaos, both superpowers begin to realize the futility of absolute victory. The United States may hold global reach, but it cannot occupy or control the vast Pacific theater. China may dominate its coastal defense, but it cannot survive prolonged isolation and economic ruin. The world economy teeters on total collapse, and billions live in fear of what comes next. Every hour that passes drags humanity closer to the edge. In the final hours of the first day, quiet channels reopen. Diplomats from neutral nations urge a ceasefire, citing humanitarian collapse. Satellite imagery reveals the sheer destruction of ports, fleets, and cities. Both governments face mounting internal pressure as civilians demand an end to the nightmare. Negotiations begin behind closed doors, not out of mercy, but necessity. Both sides understand that continuing means mutual destruction. When the clock reaches the 24th hour, the world is unrecognizable. The seas are filled with wreckage, the skies with ash, and the internet with silence. Millions have perished, and billions live under the shadow of nuclear fear. Nations everywhere mourn the first day of a war that should never have begun. The cost is beyond calculation: trillions lost, families shattered, futures erased. There is no victory in such devastation, only survival. In the end, the first day of a US-China war would prove one horrifying truth: in modern conflict, power is no shield, and technology is no savior. The mightiest empires can crumble in a single day when pride outweighs peace. The true lesson lies not in the weapons unleashed, but in the fragile thread that holds civilization together. If this war were ever to happen, the first 24 hours would not just shock the world, they would end it as we know it. Humanity's only path forward lies in restraint, dialogue, and the unyielding will to prevent the dawn of such a dark day ever again.